Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. I bring you blessings from our Bishop, the Right Reverend Dabney T. Smith, who wishes he could be with us this morning. Good thing we didn't tell him who was preaching. Where to begin? Well, it seems like it was only 26 days ago when Father called and asked me to meet with him. This isn't an unusual request for a rector of his senior warden. What happened next, however, was totally unexpected. I arrived about 7:30 in the morning, and Father told me he had heard a calling from Trinity Episcopal Church in Pass Christian, Mississippi, and he felt compelled to answer it. And like two manly men, we stood there and we cried. He asked me if I'd preach his last Sunday, and of course I said yes, without really contemplating what that meant. I remember Father's first Sunday here. We were in the back of the church, and the processional began, and I whispered to him, "St. Mark's has been waiting for this day for a long time." I said, "Be good to them, and they won't let you down." That was about 4,150 days ago, when he was called to be the 7th rector of the Episcopal Church on Marco Island. Now, when you do the math, that equates to approximately 593 Sundays. Now, I know there's a few of you who dispute my calculations as inflated, and you know who you are. But 593 Sundays is a lot of Sundays. And he was actually here for most of them. Well, that's all inconsequential now. August 21st, 2005 was just yesterday. But in actuality, it's been many, many prayers, new ministry, healing worship services, retreats, foot washings, hospital visits, soul nights, weddings, funerals, parties, Camp Abels, summer seminarians, flea markets, Mardi Gras, galas, Esau card and golf games, and baptisms of gold. In other words, it's been a wild ride. Never a dull moment. During his interview, he told the search committee that if we wanted to achieve the status quo, he was not our priest. When he asked me to preach, Kyle said, "Don't worry about the readings of the gospel." And I said, "I don't want the people to think I'm copying you." So I had to reference scripture. We heard in the gospel that there was a man sent from God whose name was John. I know Father Kyle doesn't much care for the disciple John, but John came as a witness to testify to the light, so that all might believe through him. He himself was not the light, but he came to testify to the light. Kyle came to St. Mark's at a time when we were falling asleep. And while there was a lot of talk about growth and other initiatives, nothing was really being done to achieve them. The gospel goes on to say, "But to all who received him, who believed in his name, he gave power to become children of God, who were born not of blood, or the will of flesh, or the will of man, but of God." Kyle and I attended many meetings together over the years, and there were times that he'd lean over and he'd ask me, "Is Jesus in the room?" In the beginning, all I could do is look at him and shrug my shoulders. Fast forward to today. I can honestly say with all confidence that whenever he is in a room, or you're in a room, or any of us are in a room, Jesus is in that room. Jesus is most definitely in that room because Jesus is the light that the disciple John was talking about. Jesus is in all of us. Kyle taught us that. and it feels good. Kyle made us look beyond ourselves, whether we wanted to or not, and reach new opportunities, even if that meant getting out of our comfort zones. One of his favorite storylines, like some of us, is the epistle according to Peter. Peter Pan, that is. Peter Pan is a fictional character created by a Scottish novelist. Pan is a free-spirited and mischievous young boy who can fly and never grows up. He spends his never-ending childhood having adventures on the mythical island of Neverland as the leader of the Lost Boys. The Lost Boys include Toodles, Nibs, Slightly, Curly, and the twins. I believe that Father Kyle arrived on the mythical island of Marco 12 and a half years ago as the Lost Boy. But then he grew, and he grew, and he grew, and he has now become the Pan, always attending to others. He has taught us together we can change the world. In 2005, the search committee independently voted unanimously to call him to St. Mark's. I often describe Father Kyle as an acquired taste, something he'll freely admit to, and something most of us took the time to acquire. I'm sure you'll remember for about the first 6 months, everything had a Mississippi River. Mississippi this, Mississippi that. But little by little, as years passed, and as he accomplished more and more on Marco Island, Mississippi became a memory. In his first audition sermon that was geared toward Pentecost, he spoke of the make-believe parish picnic, describing the many different kinds of people that might have attended and what they may have brought as a dish to share. He talked about one older woman who was very well respected in the parish and was very generous with her time and her talents and her treasure. But she always insisted on making the potato salad. And the potato salad was lousy. No one liked it. But no one would tell the woman that perhaps her cooking talents might have been better spent on a different dish. Year after year, she made the potato salad. Everyone would tell her how delicious her potato salad was, except for the new parish priest, who felt it incumbent upon himself to tell the old woman the truth. Well, after that service, one of our most beloved parishioners, the late Betty Prout, came up to Father Kyle and said, "Just want you to know, I make the potato salad." That was the beginning of a very complicated but loving friendship. When parishioner Pat Patterson uncovered that beets were Kyle's kryptonite, it became a parish joke. However, Betty Prout took the joke one step further. You see, Betty was the directress of the altar guild at that time when Father came. And when she found out that beets were his kryptonite, she made sure that every Sunday she spiked the communion wine with beet juice. Before she died, she made me promise not to tell you that story until you were leaving. A true story. In the beginning, he was given some strict marching orders. Among them was to grow the church through young families, be more representative in the community, and repurpose what we used to refer lovingly as the haunted house, Harper Hall. Good people of God, this was only the beginning for Father Kyle. Look around at the young families. They are the nucleus of what we are doing here. Our intergenerational activities were non-existent, unheard of before Kyle's arrival. We must not go backwards. Harper Hall was transformed into the Roland G. Willis Ministry Center, and housing our preschool is just the beginning of all the activities that go on in that building daily today. He also went out into the community and got involved as a board member with the Police Foundation. He was a member of the Fire Foundation, the Ecumenical Society of Marco Island. He and Dodie took their turn in the concession stand at Laley's on Friday night sporting events. And most recently, Father Kyle acted as the chaplain to the Marco Island Academy sports teams. He led us to Immokalee along with Santa for many years to offer Christmas gifts to the children of the migrant workers at 6L. We supported the RCMA school by creating a day of celebration, putting the needs of others before our own. He taught us that too. I've been blessed to get to know Kyle, probably better than most of you, as he chose me as his senior warden 9 years out of 12. We worked with vestries, community leaders, city officials, community chairs, ministry chairs, tenants, special event coordinators, and the diocese. Most clergy last between 4 to 5 years in a parish and often leave due to burnout. Kyle Bennett, who is synonymous with the term no exceptions, was the exception to this rule. Each year, Father Kyle would look for and find new projects, new people to help, most of them in the margins. And what proved very rewarding is that he included all of us, whether we wanted to be involved or not. He and his wonderful wife, Jody, a beloved kindergarten teacher at Tommy Barfield School, graciously shared their love for one another and the love of their family with us. Callie arrived as an intelligent but uprooted 8th grader at the age of 13. Ellie was only 7 and was all arms and legs, that she would freely wrap around her father as she ran up the aisle at the peace. Well, now Callie's engaged to be married this May, and she just received her master's degree. Daughter Ellie, quite the young lady in her own right, is charting her future as a sophomore at Ole Miss. Kyle never misses a chance to give them a kiss when they come to the communion ramp. The legacy of Kyle Vernon Bennett is an unfinished love story. When asked, the staff offered some meanderings about him. Nan says, "We'll miss you." And she learned a lot from you, and hopes that you better have learned a few things from her too. And oh yeah, she loves you. Kathy Oswald says she found a home at St. Mark's because of the sermon Father preached on her very first Sunday. He spoke about God loving all of us, no exceptions. Josh is so thankful for Kyle and his passion, his joy and excitement. He goes on to say, "I'm grateful that he shared the spirit of St. Mark for so many years. It's now woven into the tapestry of our community and will stand as a testament to Kyle. Years with us, I am grateful that Kyle stretched me in the art of saying yes." And finally, Father John, as only he can, quoted the Canadian poet, songwriter, singer, musician, and novelist Leonard Cohen, who wrote, My love goes with you as your love stays with me. It's just the way it changes, like the shoreline and the sea. Please know that God, whose name is love, lives in us all, through all the changes and chances of this mortal life, and that love is the blessed tie that binds us to God's very self and to each other, regardless of on what shore we may make our home. Go with our blessings to do God's will. Josh is right. It's now up to us to live into the testament that we've all, along with Kyle, have grown into over these last almost 13 years. There's no way back to the way we were before. May our love for each other and God's holy light shine a little brighter because we've spent this time together. Kyle, I offer you and all of you a prayer in closing that was offered by Archdeacon Kathleen Moore at the celebration of new ministry at the ordinations earlier this month at the Cathedral of St. Peter's. The Lord be with you. Let us pray. May the light of God surround you, the love of God enfold you, the power of God protect you, the presence of God watch over you. Wherever you are, God is. And do not fear tomorrow. God is already there.